So I saw a TikTok where a guy was like, oh, don't watch YouTube anymore, only TikTok, because all of YouTubers are just using AI to write their scripts for them. So I was like, you know what? Let's try it. So I gave ChatGPT a link to like an article on the topic we're about to discuss, and I asked it to write a funny and witty introduction line. Just listen to what it gave us, okay? So imagine I unironically started delivering this introduction in this video, how you would have responded, okay? Because it's magical. Hey there, fellow assassin and stealth enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into a leak that's about to blow your hidden blade socks off. We've got juicy details on AC Mirage, the upcoming Assassin's Creed game that's set to be smaller, stealthier, and sneakier than ever before. So grab your hoods, sharpen your wit, and get ready to uncover the release date, gameplay, and story secrets. Let's see if we can assassinate that hype train with some killer leaks. Dude, it's so bad. I love it. You know, AI is impressive, but it's not quite there. Neither, apparently, is Assassin's Creed Mirage. So we've been talking about this for ages. Assassin's Creed Mirage was announced a while back, but we haven't seen anything. In fact, they've even opened up collector's edition sales to people, even though we haven't seen actual gameplay. We've seen gameplay stills, we've seen wallpapers, but we haven't actually seen the game in action, which frankly, I can't think of another example where they were selling collector's editions at full price before we had even seen gameplay. It's baffling to me. But you know what? It seems like we are approaching the release date. We're getting closer, and a series of recent leaks has actually given us a good amount of information on the game, which we're gonna get into now. The first thing was a leaked gameplay segment, which I kid you not, is a little less than 2 seconds at 144p. I can't play it in this video, otherwise the whole thing will get struck and I will be considered a bad boy and go to YouTube jail, so I'm not going to show it. However, this is the post. If you want to look it up, I can't stop you. And so there's that. But it's on Reddit. You know, if you want to find it, you can do that. It's really not much. It shows a guy running forward with cloth physics, and that's about it. That's the whole thing. And I mean, the top comment on this from Wazudi1, robed man running is back, baby. And Dredgeon, honestly, after the past 2 games, almost isn't even a joke. It's not a joke. Like, this is news because the last 2 Assassin's Creed games have been so far from what has been established as mainline Assassin's Creed mechanics that having cloth physics and then a camera that sits a little bit lower is considered revolutionary and groundbreaking. That's where we are as fans now. So that wasn't really useful. However, some new stuff that I had not heard before did come from a YouTuber from France by the name of Jonathan. I'm not familiar with this guy. Seems like he's very reliable. Some people in stream today said that they knew his stuff and that he had a really good track record. I can't personally vouch for that. I don't speak French, so obviously I can't really consume his content, but I've heard decent things. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's gonna just walk in and make a bunch of stuff up. But in this video, he outlines a bunch of different things about Assassin's Creed Mirage, details of release date, gameplay, styles, new mechanics, returning mechanics, all that good stuff. And because the internet's amazing, a bunch of people who speak French have surmised it and put it into bullet pointed form, which makes Americans like me able to consume it. So let's get into it. The first thing he discussed was the size of the game's map. He compares it roughly to Paris in Unity or London in Syndicate, describing the surrounding areas as mostly desert, but with some interesting landmarks to explore throughout. He also describes the game as starting in a way that's fairly similar to Assassin's Creed Unity, with a couple of smaller vignettes and narrative beats before the main area opens up to you for you to explore freely. Now, first things first, I don't find the discussion of map size that helpful. It's more about how the map is built and designed rather than what it can be directly compared to, because frankly, you can make a really big map and that doesn't mean it's interesting at all. For example, there's this little size comparison of the various maps in the franchise that this guy did 4 years ago, Gatascostas, maybe, I don't know. And in this, they compare the various sizes, and then they also show you Assassin's Creed Odyssey's size in comparison. And I mean, you can tell, like, Atlantis, 2 kilometers squared, Paris, 2.4 kilometers squared, Syndicate's London is 3.7 kilometers squared, roughly. And then you see AC Odyssey, 256 kilometers squared. Like, you can have a massive map doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be interesting to explore or navigate or have anything worth finding in it whatsoever. So whenever I hear like, oh, the map is comparable in size to this one, it doesn't really tell me a lot. I mean, you could take this chunk of Assassin's Creed Odyssey's map and be like, wow, it's bigger than Paris. Yeah, but it's all water, so who cares? He also describes the game as being smaller in scope, roughly 15 hours to complete the main story, with additional stuff probably adding to it as well. Again, this isn't that helpful because we've already heard all of this, and I'm not going to say that like he's just making stuff up, because he does have some novel statements in here, okay? But I'm just saying you have to be careful online whenever you hear somebody like leaking stuff about a game and then everything they describe is just what is already publicly known. So far, none of this is that interesting. It's all pretty much par for the course. We already know a lot of this, or can easily infer it from what we do know. Next, he discusses some of the gameplay systems. He compares the parkour directly to Assassin's Creed Origins, which had a better system than Valhalla, certainly, but I don't think anybody would point at Origins as having a very fluid free climbing system. Certainly not when compared to other games like Unity. This is something you gotta be careful with. A lot of people have just assumed that because they're returning to form, they're going to have a free running system just like Assassin's Creed Unity, and that is not what's been said. What was said in the original article and interview was, yeah, we're looking to something closer to Unity. They didn't say we're just copying and pasting Unity's free running system, okay? This is still in the Valhalla. Oh, sorry.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
It's still in that engine, and because it's in that engine, you shouldn't expect it to be significantly different than Assassin's Creed Valhalla. He also describes specific use case animations that have been added, such as Basim limping if he hurts his leg on a big jump, not just for a second or two like in Valhalla or Odyssey, but for an extended period of time until he's been healed. He also describes how the crowd density will be improved, similar to Unity, but not quite on that scale, mainly for narrative purposes. And he also describes how Basim's health will be incredibly low during the game, such that only a few hits from an NPC will down you. This in turn puts a ton of emphasis on different gadgets such as smoke bombs, noisemakers, blow darts, or throwing knives. Apparently, you'll unlock these gadgets as you level up in the game, just like in the original Assassin's Creed titles. And furthermore, the game's going to be broken up primarily into assassination missions. You're going to have 4 major targets throughout Baghdad, but also many smaller targets to take on while you work your way up the chain. He also describes this system working very similarly to Assassin's Creed Odyssey's Cult of Cosmos system, where you have targets, but you have to find out information about the target. So if you know that this is the target you need to kill, you have to go and seek information of their various businesses or with associates, interrogating them to get information as to where they might be on a certain day, where you need to go, what you need to do. It's an interesting tie-in to systems they previously had working that I felt were largely ignored in Valhalla, but it's going to be really, really interesting with the other social stealth mechanics that they're bringing back into the franchise, or back into this individual title, maybe not into the franchise. I guess time will tell. He also apparently goes into detail at how the devs were inspired by Hitman, with each of the targets having multiple ways to eliminate them. But it is important to note that he didn't know in the video, didn't claim to know whether or not you could replay missions and quests to try taking on another assassination mission in a different style. That to me is actually more comforting than if he said, oh yeah, no, I know all of this stuff. He's actually admitting he doesn't know stuff, whereas fake leakers tend to just pretend they have answers to everything. But again, all of this is leaks. All of this is just conjecture. Take it all with a grain of sand. I mean, of course, we flex skepticism on this channel. I think there's reasons to think that this guy is not willing to just totally make stuff up, because he's putting this out in a video to a channel that he spent a lot of time building. And typically, if you're just making stuff up and putting it out there, that could have a negative impact on your reputation. And from what I've heard from other people is that he does seem to have connections with people in Ubisoft, so he has reason to possibly know this stuff. And of course, nothing he's saying is that crazy. A lot of what he's describing is kind of in line with what you would expect from what they've described thus far. Maybe it's not true. Maybe all of this is totally made up, but time will tell. He also describes a really interesting mechanic that's reminiscent of things we had in old school Assassin's Creed games like Assassin's Creed 2 with the posters system, but he describes it as a notoriety or reputation system, much like Grand Theft Auto's star system or a lot of other games where you might have bounties in something like Red Dead Redemption. Basically, depending on your behavior or how you take down targets in either a stealthy or very, very bombastic way, you may acquire different badges in this reputation system. As he describes it, there are 3 basic tags that a player can be assigned. The first one will be represented with a simple eye on screen. This means that the crowd will point you out to guards if they see you. There's of course a time delay with this, where once you are seen by the guards, you have time to get away before the guards are notified and then in turn find you, but it certainly could lead to some interesting situations where you could reveal your position to the public so long as you can get away fast enough. The second tag that can be assigned to the player is a bow and arrow, meaning that the first instance is also true where the crowd will point you out to guards, but also there are guards on rooftops actively looking for you. If you are spotted by these guards or others, everybody will become alerted. And the third state is one represented by 2 crossed swords, where basically everyone is on extremely high alert looking for you actively as you explore the level. He also describes how there could be a 4th state to this, but that he wasn't sure. If there was a 4th state to this, it would likely be something such as a bounty hunter actively pursuing you, similar to what we've had in other games like Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. To clear these states, just like in Assassin's Creed 2, for example, you have to take down posters, hide for a while until your notoriety clears, and resets. He also describes how the faction system is back as well, which is where you were able to hire people to help you. Like if you hired the members of various organizations to help you distract guards or to take somebody out so you could get around them quicker, just like we've seen in previous games as well. He also describes how there's little to no modern day sequencing. It's all pretty much in the past, which we've heard before, and then there's usually a cutscene or 2. It's fine. I'm not that interested in the modern day stuff. I play Assassin's Creed games to explore old civilizations and societies and cities. I find that really interesting as a history buff, but I know some people love the Abstergo sort of futuristic Isu storyline. More power to you, but just know this game doesn't seem to be offering much by way of exploration of those topics. And then lastly, he says that the game is set to release on October 12th, barring any major releases from any other studio that might bounce that back by a few weeks. I have heard similar things from other people that October is the targeted time frame. Apparently the whole idea that the game was coming in August was never actually that serious, and everybody internally knew that it was going to be going towards October. But nonetheless, it seems as though this is somewhat consistent with what other people have said. Now, like I said, I'm not familiar with this guy. I will link his video in the description, so go show him some love, watch it for yourself. If you want, you can use closed captions and try to use the auto-generated English translation. It's not very good. Just going off of this, there's a lot of like sentences that don't really make a lot of sense when it's doing it. But if you want to try to get through it, then you can do that. Like, for example, it doesn't think Ubisoft is a word. It just thinks it's Bsoft, which is just, it's funny. By the way, I know a lot of people have been like, Luke, it's not Ubisoft, it's Ubisoft or Ubisoft or so. I don't care. They named their company a fake word. I get to make up whatever pronunciation I want. Them's the rules, okay? It would be like if I named my company Ubisoft and then people pronounce it as Ubisoft, and then I get upset about it. Like, no, you don't get to do that. You made up a fake word. Chill out. Now let's recap for a minute. Out of everything he described, nothing was that groundbreaking or shocking. It's all pretty much in line with what we've come to expect from this game based on previous descriptions from Ubisoft or Ubisoft. And so I don't have a lot of reason to doubt a lot of this. There's not anything totally out of left field that has me questioning everything. If he came out and said, oh, the game actually takes place in Brazil, they just are gonna fake you out with Baghdad for the sake of hype. If he said something stupid like that, then clearly I'd be like, no, this doesn't make sense. Let's ignore it. But it's all pretty much consistent with what we've heard. Everything that I've currently heard from people that are familiar with the game is that this is in line. Nobody's confirmed it to me. I can't confirm any of this, but the people I know that would normally come out and say, oh no, this is all BS. They've not done that. Make of that what you will. And honestly, none of this is like upsetting as far as I'm concerned. It sounds like this honestly is going to be a leaner, more focused Assassin's Creed game that leans into systems that were developed back in like 2009 for Assassin's Creed 2. And frankly, I'm about it. I'm okay with it. If they come out with a lean, mean, fighting, assassinating machine of a game, I'm in, even if it is shorter. I've expressed a lot of concern about Assassin's Creed Mirage in the last few months, especially because there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense with the game. But in the last few weeks, we've seen some of that stuff get resolved. The concerns over NFTs and Web3 integration seems to have somewhat been quelled by them releasing it through a secondary platform, their AC Smart Collect. I did a dedicated video on this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically these are collectible 3D printed statuettes that also have like NFT tags on them for some reason, and apparently some people are excited for it. Whatever, if it's not in the game, I'm okay. As long as it's not something in the game, we're cool. And some of the other things like concerns over polish or refinement of systems seem largely to be quelled as they have consistently delayed it and given it the time to actually get polished and put into a finished state. We'll believe it when we see it. I have no idea what the game's going to be like. I'm excited to play it when it comes. But as of right now, everything that we're finding out, all of these leaks are kind of what you would hope for. I think it's just that we are so used to getting Assassin's Creed games that are just filled with red flags and things that don't really make sense and are actively in contrast and like against what you would hope to see in an Assassin's Creed game. So I'm used to waving this flag all the time when talking about Assassin's Creed, but frankly, out of all the stuff we found out about Mirage that we know for a fact are true, and then the things like these leaks, it seems like it honestly is just an old school Assassin's Creed game. And if that's the case, cool. I'll play it, I'll enjoy it. I don't know what the next one's gonna be like. I don't know how crappily monetized those will be, but if Mirage is good, awesome. I look forward to it. If it sucks ass, we're gonna have a real funny time breaking it down and discussing it because they will have blown it once again. But you know what? Fingers crossed. I hope it's good. This is the thing. I think people think that YouTubers just love hating on games like this or companies like Ubisoft. Like, no, I would love to have another Assassin's Creed game that's amazing. I would love to have another Ubisoft game that I can obsess over. Who wouldn't want another game to pour time into? I would love that, but I can't change what I'm convinced by. I can't change what I believe. Nobody can. You either believe it or you don't. You're convinced of it or you're not. And in the case of these games, either you're convinced that this is a pile of garbage and that this is terrible, or you're not. I can't just magically change my mind on Forspoken or Redfall, because if I honestly believe those games suck, that's just what I believe. I can't change that. But what could change that is new evidence, things that actually change the balance of the scale and could shift it one way or another, such as a company like Ubisoft releasing a really good, polished, high-quality game that's a return to form of a franchise that I know and love. If they can do that, awesome. That changes the way of the scale, and you know what? Maybe I won't be hating on Ubisoft that bad that day. Notice I said that day because they'll probably screw up something else, but the only reason I believe that they're going to screw up something else is because they've consistently screwed things up for years and years and years. Eventually, hopefully, they get to the point where they have quality leadership that's not abusive, and they're able to put out games that are really good consistently. In the same way, I believe that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to kick ass and probably break all sorts of sales records and be the talk of the town for months. Seriously, no one will ever stop talking about that game once it comes out. It's going to be super annoying. Buckle up. But the reason that I believe that is because Rockstar has consistently demonstrated an ability to just hit it out of the park no matter what they're doing. And so there is a very good reason to believe that GTA 6 is going to be yet another pin in the cap, as it were. But all this to say, I would love for Ubisoft to blow me away with Mirage. I would love for them to buck the trend of crappy release after crappy rushed release. I would love for Assassin's Creed Mirage to be a return to form. That doesn't mean that Ubisoft will be saved, but it does mean that it is at least one step in the right direction. And hopefully it'll be the first step in a long series of good steps. Maybe not, but might be. And that's all we can hope for. But you know what that's going to do it for me? I'm going to play some more of a game that I have to play for review later this week. So make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for that, because While I can't tell you what game it is, I think it's going to be entertaining, and that's all I'll say about that. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you want to wrap your skepticism, make sure to check out LukeStevensTV.com, where you can get a Skeptic Collection shirt or mug, just like this one that I've got right here. Proud Skeptic mug, gotta represent. And if you want some stickers, I actually pack these up right here at this desk in front of me and send them off from where I'm at. So if you want to rep it or have a shirt with
16 times the detail.
I mean, who wouldn't want that? Again, just LukeStevensTV.com. You can get it. Supports the channel, supports the stream, everything. Helps me keep doing what I'm doing. So yeah, check it out. But with that, I'll see you over on Luke Stevens Live. Just search it up in the search bar, Luke Stevens Live. I'm going to be co-streaming the PlayStation event. So come over, say hi. I'd love to hang out with you. But with that, I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.